This is Pastor John. This is our next in the series American Dystopia. It's Saturday, April 25th, 2020. I'm sitting here in our Carolina room. I understand it's called the Carolina room because it's kind of a bonus room and it's sunny and bright. And if we were living in Arizona, it would be called a Phoenix room. When we lived in Tennessee, I don't know what they called it. But we don't do a lot of work here, except for one person. Elena loves this room and often does a lot of homework in here. But the rest of us, when we sit in this room, it's more for relaxation, sometimes just to sit on the couch, read a book, something like that, enjoy the sunlight. And yet, we're made for work. You see, from the time of the garden, God designed people to work. In fact, Adam and Eve were to take care of that garden and to work it and have dominion over the creatures and take care of things. And the scriptures remind us how important work is. In fact, it's embedded in the Ten Commandments. Hear this command: remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but the seventh day is a Sabbath to the Lord your God. On it you shall not do any work, you or your son or your daughter, your male servant or your female servant, or your livestock or the sojourner who is within your gates. For in 6 days the Lord made the heaven and the earth, the sea, and all that is in them, and rested on the seventh day. Therefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and made it holy. Now, rightly so, we Christians often look at this as the importance of a day of worship and rest. That is, for the Old Testament people, the Sabbath day; for us in the New Testament era believers, the Lord's Day, the day Jesus was raised from the dead, the first day of the week on Sunday. And yet sometimes we skip over this first part. 6 days you shall labor. In other words, we're built for work. It's the ordinary cycle of human beings. God made us in this social way and in this way to work to please Him. He's given us gifts and talents and abilities that we should work, do things, to produce things, to take care of things, all that. It's a way of God maintaining order through us. It's very important. And yet today, think about our situation. We have 20 to 30 million Americans who have filed for unemployment throughout this time period of the pandemic. There are many people who are struggling not just because work brings a paycheck, but they're going to be struggling because not working upsets the balance and the norm of how God has made us. We need to be praying for our governors and our leaders as they make decisions so that people can get back to work. Now, we have to be careful. There are those amongst us who will tell you that work is not important. They're going to tell you that, hey, everybody should be paid for something regardless of whether or not they work, kind of a minimum pay for everybody. Or there are those like one congresswoman who has suggested that it's so terrible that people who don't get paid much are working that they should strike rather than go back to work. Well, it's not about the money here in Scripture. Scripture tells us if we don't work, we don't eat. Work is so very, very important. And for the well-being and the good of our country, it's important that we get back to work. So pray for our governors, our workers, our leaders, that this norm can come back soon and that the decisions they make will be wise about how to do this. We need, at this time, to remember to get back to work.